Bus plus bike. It's a great combination for expanding how far you can travel with either one of these modes. So come along for a multimodal extra credit adventure to Yorktown, site of the 1781 Siege of Yorktown that led to American independence all those years ago.
Hello from the Riverside Hospital Transit Center in Newport News. I've got the bike. There it is. I'm going all the way up to Yorktown for some extra credit points for class. It's a little far to bike and also a lot of stroads between here and there, but I can take my bike on the bus and then bike from there. So come along for this adventure. I have no idea how this is going to go, but we're starting on the 108.
Starting from the Riverside Hospital Transit Center in central Newport News, the plan is to head north towards the Yorktown battlefield, part of the Colonial National Historical Park. As I've explained on the channel before, Newport News is a 20-mile-long city, and there are two major streets that run for almost all of this length, Warwick Boulevard and Jefferson Avenue. See, here's a picture I took from a plane. That's Warwick, and that's Jefferson. The city really has so much concentrated development on just these two parallel corridors, and the bus network reflects that. Hampton Roads Transit, or HRT, bus routes 106 and 107 primarily follow Warwick Boulevard, while the 112 mainly follows Jefferson. But of course, you also need bus service to get people between and beyond these two corridors, which is where the buses I'm taking come in. So first I'll take the 108 from Riverside over to Jefferson Avenue, but I can't stay on the 108 for too long because it eventually cuts back over to Warwick. So at the Patrick Henry Mall Transit Center, I'll change to the 111, which runs up to Denby Boulevard. From there, I'll bike through mostly residential areas over to Newport News Park. From here, it's easy since I can bike through Newport News Park and directly into the Yorktown Battlefield Park.
So I don't know if you can see, but the 108 is currently stopped at the light out there because it has to go all the way into the university, turn around at the roundabout and come back. But there's no bikes on it, so I will have a spot. And it is a fairly valid concern because it is a really nice day out and people do take their bikes on the bus, and the most wrecks on the network that I've seen only have 2 slots for a bike. So if a bus is full, normally, I have to wait for the next bus, but it is a weekend, so service isn't amazing. Then again, the 108 only runs hourly on weekends and weekdays anyway, so it's not a huge deal. I wish the 112 came here all the time. It doesn't. It comes once a day at like 5:12 a.m. and that's it. Every other time it just stays on Jefferson. Let it lays over. I think I'm the only one on here. Cool. Just bought a day pass. Bike's on the front, as you can see. Maybe you can't, but it's there. So hopefully we'll be leaving soon enough. Hey, turning on to J. Clyde Morris, aka a street that, has bike lanes technically. They're actually just shoulders with bike lane signs painted and stuff. It's not great. Hey, turning on to Jefferson, which is what we needed to be doing to make the 111. We needed to be here before then. But they've already passed this intersection, so as I said, we'll meet them at the mall. Ooh, paratransit van.
If my bus on the 108 left on time, I would have been able to change to the 111 earlier. But the 111 beat us to the part where the two lines overlap, so I'd have to change buses later. The 108 goes almost directly to Patrick Henry Mall though, while the 111 wanders around a bit, so the bus I'm on will almost certainly get to the mall first, leaving me plenty of time to transfer. So why am I even taking this trip? Well, for a class I'm taking about Alexander Hamilton, I can get extra credit for visiting readouts 9 and 10 at the Yorktown battlefield, because, well, Hamilton actually fought at Yorktown. Plus I had some time, my bike, and it was a nice day, so why not visit one of the most important historical sites in the area that also happens to be important for American history in general? And if the professor of my class is actually watching this, welcome to one of the things I do in my free time, exploring public transit. And as the saying goes, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, give me a Hampton Roads Transit day pass for $4.50, entertain me for a day. People say that, right? Pulling into the transit center at Patrick Henry Mall, buses actually pass the transit center and loop around this one-way U-turn busway thing. It's kind of fun.
Alright, just got my bike off the front of the 108 there, and the 111's pulling in.
I successfully changed to the 111, moving my bike from the bike rack of one bus and putting it on another bus before getting on board. The 111 is a new route for me, meaning I've never ridden it before. It actually comes from Hampton into Newport News before winding its way up to Patrick Henry Mall. Past the mall though, where I'm riding it, the route is pretty straightforward, mostly just going up Jefferson Avenue before terminating just off Denby Boulevard.
So yeah, I mean, if I had biked all the way to Yorktown, I would have had to end up on this road anyway. And I'd rather not bike on Jefferson Avenue for... I'll let you guess why. I mean, this is a great environment for cars, and that's about it. Alright, and here's where we leave Jefferson. Although I'm taking this all the way up to Woodside, which is the very last stop. So we've still got a few minutes to go once we get off the street here. We're turning on at Denby. But we still got a few blocks. This is actually new territory for me. I've never been this far up Denby Boulevard, I don't think. This is kind of fun. Alright, leaving Denby and getting onto Old Denby. And the next stop should be the last one. And that'll be mine. So I think the stop is across the street, but the rest of the route is just a big loop deviation to come to this stop. So I guess you let me off early, but hey, that works. All right, so realistically, I don't know how much I'm gonna vlog when I'm actually doing the biking portion of this route. But we're on Shields Road, just a few blocks from the end of the 111, and this becomes a bikeway. So that should be fun. I could have gotten closer on the bus, but this is gonna be a better route overall because there's no, I don't have to bike on Jefferson, and that's a plus. So from that intersection, we have entered the bikeway, Route 6. So this looks like it just was a road at one point, and then they just decided, no, it's gonna be a bikeway now.
For whatever reason, this part of Shields Road is just a bike and pedestrian trail. It's quite nice, and it's a shame it doesn't last longer, because soon enough, I'm back on a regular suburban street to make my way to Newport News Park.
So I guess I should probably explain where I'm going. I'm trying to get up towards Newport News Park. Gonna cut through the park, and from there you can actually get into one of the back sections of the battlefield. So hopefully we shouldn't have too many major roads to deal with. It's already pretty hot out, which fine. It's March though, which is like, why is it 73? I don't know. But we will be hopefully making some good progress. All right, we just cut through the Newport News Golf Course on a road, not the actual golf course. But I think that means we're now in Newport News Park. So it should be pretty smooth sailing from here on out. No more, maybe some major roads, but it should be pretty straightforward, I'm hoping. Never done this route before, so we'll see. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, no bikes. So I have to get through here because I don't really want to go down by Jefferson Avenue because, I mean, it's a massive road. I'm probably just gonna walk across with the bike and see if anyone cares. Interestingly enough, though, it spans the county and city border, which is really interesting.
So because I can't ride here, I walk my bike across the Lisle Reservoir further into the park. Views from the bridge are, needless to say, lovely. On the other side, it's mostly dirt trails at first. There are some old earthen fortifications used in the 1862 Battle of Dam No. 1 during the Civil War, where Confederate troops stalled the U.S. Army in its attempted advance up the peninsula from Fort Monroe towards Richmond. This isn't even the battlefield I get extra credit for visiting, but it was cool to see a little bonus history. Such is common in Virginia.
So from when I got off the bridge, it said 0.7 miles to the bikeway. So there is a bikeway through here. I just can't bike here. So we're just walking it. It's a nice day out though, so I'm really not complaining too much. So according to the park map, there's a service road this way that is marked as a multi-use trail, which I assume means I can bike on it. The signs are all pointing that direction, but I don't know. From what I've seen, the park map is not great. Signage in the park is actually surprisingly good. So if I need to turn around, I will. But we are getting closer. Well, right now I'm actually walking away from Yorktown, but it's just to get to the bikeway. So less walking means more biking, which means faster overall time. So
I eventually come to a power line corridor with a service road I can bike along in the park, so I don't have to walk my bike forever.
So we found the bikeway. So this is the road we've been on, and then This is the bikeway, also gravel, but it seems like it's a lot better gravel. So this is the road I wanted to avoid. Behind it's I-64, but this is Jefferson Avenue in the foreground here. 4 lanes, no shoulder, pretty high speeds. Instead, we get a bikeway.
The bikeway is pretty nice, looping around this side of the park. I choose to go the long way around though, and after a few miles, I reach a turnoff into the Yorktown battlefield.
So I just left Newport News Park, and we're actually at George Washington's Yorktown headquarters, or at least the site of where they were, because obviously there's not tents here now or anything. On the other side of things, we have a paved road now. So the rest of the ride out to the waterfront part of the battlefield park should be pretty easy. But we've at least entered the park area. So what's really cool is they have an old ford here. So you can just, there's not a bridge for cars, they just drive through the water. There's a bridge for pedestrians though, over there.
A pleasant ride, mostly along a park road, takes me to the Park Visitor Center, from which I walk over to nearby Redoubt 10, one of the main reasons for me coming here. Much of Redoubt 10 has fallen into the York River as it's on top of a bluff next to said river, but part of it was rebuilt to give an idea of what it would have looked like. Alexander Hamilton, the subject of the class for which this trip is earning the extra credit, had command of some troops during the siege of Yorktown. At nighttime on October 14, 1781, Hamilton and his men attacked and quickly took Redoubt 10 from the British with only bayonets. Their weapons weren't even loaded in order to remain quiet on their stealthy approach. A group of French soldiers took Redoubt 9 not far away. By taking these 2 redoubts, the Americans and French were able to advance towards the British and inch even closer to Yorktown. This ended up being a good strategy for the American side as the British surrendered just a few days later, leading to the end of the war and American independence in the Treaty of Paris of 1783. So the fact that we have a national historical park here at Yorktown is both appropriate and really neat. After exploring the battlefield, I bike over to the Victory Monument in the town of Yorktown. The Continental Congress decided to erect such a monument almost immediately after the American victory at Yorktown, but Congress didn't set aside money to build it until 1880. Incidentally, my ride to the monument took me down Zweibrücken Road, which I can only assume is named after Zweibrücken, Germany. Keep in mind, Germany as we know it today was not yet a country during the American Revolution. While there were many Germans who fought on the side of the British, there was actually a regiment from Zweibrücken that fought alongside the French for the Americans. Though Zweibrücken is almost on the border of modern-day France, and some of the land in that general area has belonged to France in the past or at one point or another, so yeah, it makes sense, I guess. And I think this detail is too fascinating to leave out. Don't worry, this is still a transit video, it's just a very tangent-friendly transit video. Remember Redoubt 9? The French soldiers? Yeah, some of them were the ones from Zweibrücken, so they spoke German. And do you want to guess who the British had defending their position? Troops originally from Hesse-Kassel, so they also spoke German. So you had the French-speaking French, the German speakers in the French military from Zweibrücken, and the German-speaking Germans working with the British who spoke English. What a time that must have been. Oh, the information you learn from historical science in front of things. And even though Zweibrücken borders Saarland, I'll save you all a Saarland tangent. Other than the fact that I've been to Saarland's town of Homburg, which is right next to Zweibrücken. Check out the sandstone caves there, they're really neat. Anyways, back to America. The town of Yorktown is actually really neat. I've never been in the historic area, so it was really cool to explore. They somewhat surprisingly have a river walk, and despite the low density, it's a pretty nice environment for pedestrians and cyclists. Plus, the York River is just massive. But that's Tidewater, Virginia for you. After exploring the town some more, I bike over to the actual surrender field, where I would have expected there to be more of a monument than what's there, though it's nice they've kept the field open like this.
But yeah, I expect my ride back to be basically the same as it was coming here. So I'll cut back to the Yorktown Park Road and then back to the Newport News Park, and then I'll get to a bus stop somewhere on HRT's network.
After cutting back through the Yorktown Battlefield Park and Newport News Park, I bike to a bus stop on Jefferson Avenue.
Alright, so I'm gonna go at the 112 going back towards downtown, at the corner of Wood Creek and Jefferson, so it should be here in a few minutes. I need to be on the Work Boulevard set of bus routes. The 112 does not go over there most of the time. So basically I can do one of 2 or 3 things. I can take the 112 to Denby and then get the 107, which will cut over to Warwick, or I can take the 112 further and then get the 108, which will also cut over to Warwick, but it just depends on timing, and it's going to be close either way. Or I can just take the 112 to somewhere and bike, so that works too. Also, no one's on here. It's just me again, which is kind of fun. And then again, it is like evening on a Saturday, so the camera won't pick it up, but the 108 is in front of us. I can see it. We're gonna sit at the same red light, so this is a good thing. There goes an Uptown 108. followed by an Uptown 112. Maybe they are timed. There's the 108 I'd like to be on. Perfect. Hopefully it waits. It's not supposed to leave for a couple minutes, and the driver's outside the bus, so I'm not worried.
So I'm changing from the 112 to the 108, which will take me over to Warwick after going down Jefferson some more. And we get to use the bus U-turn thing at the mall again, so cool. Just before the end of the 108's route, we head towards Shoe Lane and closer to CNU so the bus can turn around at the roundabout at Shoe Lane and Avenue of the Arts, before then making the right turn into the Riverside Hospital Transit Center.
There goes my bus. I get to use the weird stop that is one way only. There's a really nice shelter here, but it only picks up going towards Riverside Hospital, which is across the street. Very interesting choice. I suppose you could board here if you're going further on the 108, but it's gonna lay over the hospital anyway. I've actually never boarded from the stop before. I've only ever gotten off here. Because again, I know when the bus is gonna get to Riverside. I don't know when the bus is gonna get here, because it's not a time point. This is the last stop on its route. It just kind of comes whenever it comes. So, I guess this is an outro now. Overall, taking my bike on HRT buses has always been pretty easy. But a pretty fun day. Pretty long day. So I'm gonna go get food because I can. And I will see y'all in the next one. Indeed, it was a long day, but I had fun. Taking a bike on the bus massively increases how far you can go, and it's cool that I was able to get to a place as neat as Yorktown by just doing that. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different style of video than you might be used to from me, and feel free to like and or subscribe if you did. Let me know in the comments if you've ever been to Yorktown before, or maybe if you've ever been to Zweibrücken for my German audience. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see y'all in the next one.